That's okay. It gave us a minute to get
It still
another.
says going live. Okay, I think it's working this time, but it's still okay. Yep, you're good.
Okay. Welcome to the BIA meeting, October 6th, 2021. It is 6:07, so we'll call the meeting to order. Has everyone had a chance to look at the agenda? Okay, any questions, concerns? Nothing, no additions? Okay, so can I get someone to move the agenda, please? Heather and Bert, thank you. Everyone in favor? Okay, and does anyone have any declarations? Anyone conflicted today? If you are, or you feel yourself as we move along, just give a holler. Did everyone read over the minutes from our September 1st meeting? Any questions, concerns? No. Can I get someone to move the minutes then? Pass the minutes from September 1st? Bert, then Heather. All in favor? Brent? All right, so business arising, the downtown planters. Do you want me to speak to this or are you going to? Okay, so we brought it to council, the letter. Trish did up a letter for me. Thanks, Trish. And we had a very brief discussion at council about it, and the request to have it tendered out was passed. So we'll just watch for that tender. And if there's any, I just said if there's any questions or concerns as they build that, Trish can liaison with the office to make sure that everything we want to put in the tender will be in the tender. So this year we move forward, see if we can get something new, something different, somebody local, someone else bidding on it, see what we can come up with. So if there's anything specific you'd like to see in them, get your note. Just email Trish, get your notes to her, and she'll liaison with the office to get the tender out. Because I know Jeff, I know you're watching, but I know with flowers we have to probably get that out sooner rather than later because the greenhouses will start growing them over the winter. Okay. Economic Development and Tourism Officer, Ashley, you were busy. You were busy the other day. I saw you all over Instagram and Facebook.
We had a really busy day yesterday. We had the Traveling Media Association of Canada group here with us for a trip around Perth County, and it was a great day, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the media and the content that will come out of that day. I'll start at the top of my update and then I'll get to my last minute additions at the end here. And I'll be pretty quick because a few of these are repeat updates from previous meetings, just things that we're still working away at. So the first is the Perth County Discover More Adventures Experiential Tourism Program. I've updated you guys on this a few times, but we are still launching new experiences until the end of the year. If anyone was on social media today, you may have seen we launched a West Perth experience today at TLC Alpaca, which is about 10 minutes outside of Mitchell. So that's a great experience that we're really excited to finally see go public. And we will continuing to be launching these now through the end of the year. Another update on our cycle tourism efforts since joining Ontario by Bike and really putting some intention into developing cycle tourism in Perth County is the launch of our new Perth County, St. Mary's and Stratford route map. So I think I don't have the map in front of me right now, but if I'm not mistaken, there's 2 routes that go through Mitchell. So those will be great for this group to hopefully see an increase in cycle tourism, especially as we continue to build on this into the future. These are available at municipal offices and any business in Perth County who is registered with Ontario by Bike. I was at a Mitchell Hawks game on the weekend and saw they had these cycle maps at the admission table. So if you're ever at those hockey games, you can pick one up there as well. Moving on to travel media. As you may know, we host a variety of travel content creators and online influencers each year to come visit the county, do different experiences so they can promote some of our great opportunities to their audiences online. We've now hosted 3 travel writers this year, with our last group coming this weekend for a fall getaway in Perth County. We're always so happy to see the blogs and social media posts that come out of these trips. And if you're interested in finding out more, you can go to the Perth County website and click on Media Buzz. And under that tab, you'll be able to read all the stories that are created from hosting these content creators. Next is the Digital Transformation Grant. So applications are being accepted now for the new round of this grant. There's a limited number, so people are encouraged to apply early. And if this is something you're interested in, but you could use a hand with, or you want some more information, reach out to our team, because we do have a digital service squad member on again to help people apply for this and up their digital game. So if you want any more information on this grant or some digital assistance, just shoot any of us an email and we'll connect you with Eileen, our new digital service squad member. Business retention and expansion project. We have officially launched this BRE project, the purpose of which is to gain a better understanding of the relevant issues facing Perth County businesses as a result of the pandemic, and to establish priorities for moving forward. The business retention expansion project is ongoing and is being done via phone call. So we ask, if you get a phone call from us as part of this survey, to pick up the phone and have a quick chat so we can get as much relevant data as possible to establish priorities moving forward that will help all of our businesses. Next is the Workforce Development Co-op kits. So we've partnered with the Avon-Maitland District School Board and the Huron-Perth Catholic District School Board to distribute co-op kits promoting opportunities in Perth County. This is a new take on what we did a couple years ago, the Prosper in Perth County program. We're just really trying to inform youth about opportunities that exist in Perth County, which are now being aided by the PC Connect transportation system. It's easier than ever to get around and take advantage of these opportunities. A repeat update from last time, so I'll just touch on it quickly, is the Welcoming Communities training. We still have a handful of licenses available for this. So if this business sounds like it's something that could help your business or some business you know, then we encourage you to reach out to us and we can set you up to take this training for free and receive the certificates for taking it. A staff update, which we haven't given officially yet, but I'll do that right now, is Meredith Forget has officially returned from maternity leave and resumed as the manager of economic development and tourism. Justin Diaz, who was filling her spot while she was on maternity leave, has now shifted into the economic development officer position, while Sarah Franklin, who previously held that position, is now the communications officer in the office of the CAO. So we've had a few moves in our department, but we're all still here to support you in your endeavors. The last minute additions that just showed up in the email from Trish, but weren't in my official update, is the Teeny Tiny Summit. Registration is now open for this webinar taking place on October 13th. And the theme of this webinar is welcoming newcomers to teeny tiny places. So if you had any interest in the newcomer training that we're offering, that's a good complimentary program for this Teeny Tiny Summit. And you can register for that on the OMAFRA website. Next is the Ontario Tourism Recovery Program. The details on this were actually announced today. So if you want to find out more, you can Google the Ontario Tourism Recovery Program and read it for yourself, or shoot me a message and I would be happy to talk you through this new funding program. And eligibility and applications are opening up for this on October 13th. So watch the calendar for that date for when you'll be able to submit to this program. And last is the Community Innovation Challenge workshops. So the Community Innovation Hub is hosting free workshops designed for entrepreneurs, innovators, and leaders. Topics of these workshops range from partnership management to how to host a design jam in your community. So these workshops are an exciting way for you to meet new people and do good for your community. There's an Eventbrite link that will be sent out in the new update that I'll give to Trish following the meeting if anyone has interest in checking out more about these workshops. That was a lot of talking from me. So if anyone has any questions, then feel free to ask now. And if you think of something later, just shoot me an email and I can go into details about any of these things as well.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. Does anyone have any imminent questions for her right now while we're online? Okay. Sorry, I just had to turn it permanently. I was just using my space bar. Okay, if there's nothing more, thanks, Ashley. That was great. And I encourage you to stick around and listen to our next delegation. I think it's really important to have James Marshall. Kristen, if you can let him in.
Oh, sorry, 1 second. Sorry, I'd forgotten I made him an attendee and not a panelist. He should be there now.
James, if you can unmute and turn on your camera if you're there.
I see he's coming in.
Super. Well, I'm very, very happy to have you here, James. James and I had a chance to chat downtown a couple of weeks ago. He was downtown doing some work, and we had a really great opportunity to talk about some fire safety educational issues and pointers that he's going to come and start working with us. So for those who haven't met him, this is our fire prevention officer, fire investigation, fire marshal, all your names. I'll let James introduce himself to you all.
Thanks for having me. My last name's Marshall. I'm not the fire marshal, but I'm a fire prevention officer and a fire investigator. The only problem with these things is you never know where you're supposed to look. So I'll do my best. So thanks for having me. I've been in the area here for just over 2 years now. I've been doing this for about 15 years. And one of the things that I wanted to do was touch base and come up with some affordable things that I look for that are really easy fixes. My goal today is to kind of throw a few of those out here. I don't want to talk about specific buildings or issues or anything that I've seen in the community, but I want to talk about what can be done for your members to make it so that it's easier to be compliant with the fire code. So the fire code has a lot of different requirements for it. And what we're going to talk about today quickly would be storefronts and businesses, and we're going to delve into some restaurant stuff. But if any of your members want me to talk to them at greater length about a specific business, just let me know. So I thought what we'd do is we'd start at the exit and we'd kind of work our way into the business. So the exit ways, as you come in or as you enter into a building, they need to be kept clear. It's not uncommon for storefront owners to put displays and whatnot that can be easily knocked over in a panic. We can't have stuff that's going to knock over and not allow a door to close, or knock over and not allow people to be able to safely get out. The doors, when you walk into a building and you look up, there may be an exit sign. If there is an exit sign there, it needs to be properly illuminated. If it has light bulbs on it, the light bulbs need to work. That's something that I look for as well. If you have a smaller storefront, you might not be required to have exit signs at the front door. The thought process is if you walk into a building, you generally know how to get back out the same way you did. What we do is we put in the exit signs for a secondary means of egress. Something else I look for, the doors that automatically close. We want to make sure that if they do have a closure on the door, that it functions as designed. So if you see up at the top, it has something that pulls the door closed, or if the hinges pull the door closed, it needs to be able to freely swing and freely latch itself. That's incredibly important to also have on your mechanical rooms or any of your electrical rooms. Sometimes in the areas of kitchens where you may have an issue with fires. So the next thing you see as you walk in, you've looked at your door, you've made sure that it's clear. The next thing that I tend to look for are the fire extinguishers. It's not uncommon at your exits to have the fire extinguishers there. Each fire extinguisher in your business needs to function. With that, you as the business owner or property owner, you need to make sure that it's looked at once a year by a company. An example of that would be London Fire Equipment or Georgian Fire. Any of the companies that you can get that kind of service with, that would be just fine. Yourself, what you want to do is you want to look at it once a month. What I run into are extinguishers that are stolen. Certainly if you have a restaurant or a storefront where you have people coming and going and they have easy access to the fire extinguishers, they might get stolen. Some people pull the pin and squeeze the extinguisher just a little bit, which then means that your extinguisher is not going to work in a fire. We also have folks that'll shove gum up the hoses of fire extinguishers or wet Kleenexes. Take a look up the hose, take a look at your gauge, make sure that it's charged, make sure it's not stolen. And while we all want to maximize our frontage for what people can see, make sure that you're not putting product in front of the fire extinguishers so that it's easy to get at. Any of these inspections that you're doing, you want to keep for 2 years to have the paper trail that they've been done. Next would be the emergency lights. Emergency lights need to be checked monthly, and they also need to be checked annually, the same as fire extinguishers, and often the same companies will do that for you. It's not uncommon to see people that carry their stools around from light to light. What I suggest is get a dowel, put a little screw hook in it, and you can just kind of walk up and check it instead of carrying your ladder around everywhere you go. The yearly inspections, they're looking to make sure that your battery is going to last as it's required, and that the light bulbs are still bright enough in order for you to get what you need out of them. Fire alarm systems, I wanted to touch on this. Some buildings downtown have it, some buildings, other property owners through the town have them as well. Specifically, what I'm talking about tonight are the fire alarm systems that have an annunciator panel at the front or at the back of your store. I'm not talking about a fire alarm system that's hooked into your security system. So if you have an alarm that goes off on your fire alarm system, while it's tempting to reset it to shut it up because it's loud and annoying, please don't do that. Leave it for us so that as we get there, we can tell what the problem is. If not, we have to do a lot of troubleshooting and try to figure out what's going on, what the alarm was complaining about. If you do have an annunciator panel, it does need to be checked annually by a company that will come in and run through it and ensure that everything's functioning and all of your elements of the alarm are working. Cooking. If you have a restaurant and you are preparing anything that produces a grease-laden vapor, any hamburgers, bacon, anything that really smells, has that greasy aroma to it that everybody loves, you need to have a ventilation system in your kitchen, and that ventilation system has to have a suppression system. These aren't things that you can just go down to the secondhand place and grab one that probably will fit. It has to be something that's designed for the use of your particular space that you're working in. And you can often save money by not going and buying something from where it's been pulled out of another business, because it's not uncommon for them to be damaged. Again, if you have questions on that, feel free to reach out. The big thing that I've found downtown is we're working towards the fire separations. My concern is always as I walk in and I walk through a building, if I find holes where maybe there's been a leak from one unit to another, or if we have someone who's punched holes through a stairwell or kicked through doors. We need to make sure, both as business owners and property owners, that we're remedying that as quickly as we can. We run into problems in fire scenes, and we've talked about the doors, ensuring that they swing closed properly. But with the breaches and fire separations, if we've got a buildup of heat and we've got a buildup of gas, very quickly that can extend through the building. And in the downtown core, that's something that we don't want to be behind the 8 ball on. We would rather things be contained into a room of origin or a floor of origin, so that we can have a chance of winning that fight. The flip side to that is it's not just the older century buildings, it's also newer lightweight construction buildings. If you have a new building and you're not protecting your fire separations, all it often takes is the heat to get up into the lightweight roof trusses to actually have it start coming apart. As business owners, property owners, you spend a lot of money protecting your goods. You spend a lot of money looking after your storefront. One of the things that you need to do if there is a fire emergency, we've talked about leaving the alarm running so that we know how to deal with it, but you need to have a plan. We do this at home, and we're certainly this week, we've been preaching home fire safety a lot through the media and through the town. You need to have a plan with your workers, where you're going to meet, who's in charge of calling 911. Does everybody call 911? And how are we going to address with the problems that we're having? When we show up on scene, we want to be able to hear from you that everybody's out of the building and that we can go in and start putting water on the fire. If we can't do that, or if somebody is stuck in the building, we will go and get them. But while we're doing that, we're not putting any water on the fire. We're looking after rescue efforts. So my favorite thing is showing up to a scene and being told everybody's out, everybody's safe. That takes the risk way out of it for the firefighters. It certainly takes the risk out of it for you and your employees, and it allows us to go to work and do what we need to do. So if you do have a fire, have a plan, come and talk to us, let us know what's going on, and then we can have a clearer idea of what we need to do. With that, smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms in your workplaces, unless you're sleeping there, they're not required. But you are an employer, or many of you are employers, and you're responsible to do everything that you can to keep your employees safe. So for the cost of a $20 carbon monoxide smoke alarm combination, to ensure that you're protecting your products, your investment, and your staff, it's not a bad way to get us to a fire scene quicker if there's an issue. So that's a real quick overview. I know that the fire code is giant and that there's all kinds of issues that might relate to your specific buildings. In this, I was hoping people would see my face. I've bumped into a bunch of you downtown. I am approachable. You can call me. I have no problem showing up to a building and walking through and telling you this is what we need to do. This is what needs to get fixed. Or maybe it's great, and that's good to know as a property owner as well, that you can relax and say, yeah, I've invested the money and everything's right. The one key takeaway here is the fire code is the law. So while most people don't love seeing me come through the door, I am there to make your life easier, and I'm there to make the firefighters' lives easier, and I'm there to keep the downtown core and your businesses safe. So not dealing with something, if there is a problem there, it doesn't go away. So if you have concerns, if you have issues, feel free to reach out to me anytime. And I do love getting in through buildings and seeing the building stock. And I do love helping people come up to compliance. So if anybody has questions, again, reach out to me at any time, or if somebody has questions here that they want to throw at me, I will do my best.
So the floor is open. Does anybody have any questions? We are going to make, Trish is going to work on making James's presentation as a link that we'll send out to all of our members, so that that aren't maybe watching on YouTube right now, that can go back and check through it and listen to it again. I have a really quick question, James, if that's okay. Sale of downtown businesses for any of us who are considering selling or considering purchasing another business downtown or another building, what is the compliance for sale and purchase of businesses as far as fire goes? Is it
So
mandatory for
as
for
far
an
as the
inspection?
as far as the fire department goes, we will have people who will call and ask to see if there are any open orders. We'll sometimes get that through lawyers' offices saying, are there open orders? And with that, we will give them the correct information. There is not, to my knowledge, a requirement that they have to do it. And I'm aware of several properties that have gone that we didn't write the paperwork on. What's concerning to me is the new individuals who are buying buildings. If they haven't ensured that what they're buying is correct, they then have to deal with bringing it up to fire code. Again, it doesn't go away. It might not be caught for a little while, but the issues don't go away. So while people may want to sell it without having us come through, anybody who's looking to purchase, it's certainly in your best interest to ensure that what you're purchasing is actually what it is, that it's allowed to be there, that it's meeting all of the expensive elements that are required for it to be allowed there through the fire code.
Trish just has a question. She's going to pop on here, our BIA coordinator.
Hi, James. Nice to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet you.
Just a quick question for businesses, and I'll get this in the newsletter as well. You had mentioned that you were happy to go around to businesses to do a quick walkthrough. So is there like a not a no obligation, but like a free meeting that they can have with you? You can go through and if there are issues, they would be given like a date to have things corrected by, and you'll give suggestions or?
Yeah, so I'm happy to go see anybody whenever they call me, within reason.
Yeah.
Maybe let's wait till Fire Prevention Week is done. With that said, yeah, if people have concerns, I'm happy to go there and see how things get remedied, or what needs to be remedied, or maybe everything's fine. If I do come across stuff that needs to be fixed, I have no problem working with people if they say, well, we're going to do this, this, and this, and then we're going to do this, this, and this. Yeah, sure, that's no problem. They can't say, well, yeah, I'm probably going to get to that sometime in 2030. It doesn't work that way, and I don't have a problem prioritizing what we need to deal with, like fire separation, stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe there's a different way of doing things that. Well, let's put a fire door here, or let's do that, and then you don't have to worry about this quite so much. But yeah, if the issues are there, and I walk in, I'll help them with figuring out how we need to deal with it. Now, if I walk in and the entire 3 floors are a meth lab, then I'm not going to be as kind. We've got to deal with that in a different situation. But yeah, as long as it's not something that is that needs to be dealt with that day, I've got no problems helping people. That's what we're here for. We just want to get compliance. It doesn't have to be all in one day, but we're reasonable.
Yep. Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think that was the main reason I was very happy you were able to come, and we'll get this sent out, is so that people understand that it's an educational. If this is not, you're not necessarily at this point looking to go downtown and shut everybody's door because they're non-compliant. You're here for an education purpose to help guide them through the process, so that, God forbid, you don't have to come in a year because there's been a fire call and something tragic has happened. I think people need to realize that you're here on an educational basis. Yeah,
and that's I'm small town myself, so I know how important it is to keep the businesses going and to try to work with folks. And I've worked in environments where it's charge everybody, and I don't like that. I would rather try to help individuals, and instead of charges, go towards putting money into their properties. So I do want to work with individuals. So yeah, give us a holler. We're more than happy to come and help you and come up with a plan.
And one last quick question that I have is, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, is are you aware of, or would you be able to point people in directions of grant money, government money, upgrade money, or is that something I'm asking on behalf of other businesses, just because that may be a question that comes, or where would we as a BIA help point people if they did need a little funding effort? Is there something out there for them to help them come to compliance or not?
That's above my pay grade. I'm not familiar with
Yeah, me neither.
Any grants that would go specifically into fire prevention retrofitting. And that's what a lot of this is retrofitting. It's been around for years and years and years. And we just need to make sure that our buildings are meeting with the code that's been there for 30 years. I'm not familiar with anything where you could go and say, can we have a grant for it?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're not there. And if they are there, I'd love to know, but
yeah, I thought that too. Because I think that might ease a little mind of a few people if they knew they've bought or have owned a building for years and the retrofit, that there was help out there. And I'm sure there is. Maybe we'll do some research and see what we can find, but thank you. And
well,
any more questions?
Can I add one more thing? Like the whole proactive element, when you look at the costs and whatnot, if there ever was a fire, aside from the issues that occur to your own belongings and whatnot, or to your staff or to you, the proactive element of having us come through and deal with things and point out issues that can be corrected is way better to deal with now than where you get into the big money down the road, where there has been somebody injured, or your fire separations have impacted other businesses, or the OFM comes in and starts enforcing the fire code with their big fines. So, from a cost saving, you're way better to deal with a proactive approach than dealing with it down the road.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions, well, thank you again for coming, James. I really appreciate you letting me talk your ear off the other day downtown and agreeing.
No problem.
Sorry, something popped up on my screen there that muted me by accident. And hopefully we'll all see you downtown soon.
I look forward to it.
Again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, there. All right. I was very glad. I think that's something that we all needed to hear. And as I said, Tricia is going to work in the background here for us and see if she can get a clip of that and send it out as a link so that people can just see that portion. And we're going to try to do our best to push that out as much as we can over the next couple of months to just help bring some awareness to what's going to be going on in the next little bit downtown. Municipal update. Jeff Brick, Mr. Brick.
Hi, everyone. I have a number of updates. I'm not sure. I was going to say following Ashley was tough, but following James is tough too. So here we go. The chair mentioned earlier that council considered a letter from the BIA about a tender for flowers, and yes, what we'll do is we'll need to get a tight spec on that. And actually, what it is really it's a specification, and then we'll ask for 3 quotes. If we're going to go to our procurement process, which is where we're going to go with this, it'll be a request for quotes, and we need to really tightly specify what we're asking for so that the quotes can be compared. But and of course we can look through the quotes when we get them back, and we don't necessarily have to choose the lowest. But if the specs are the same, you would likely choose the lowest quote. And I can't think of a reason why we wouldn't, but there could be a reason why we wouldn't choose the lowest with the exact same specs. And I just want to clarify or emphasize that in that scenario, we don't sort of get the option of doing local choice. So the whole sort of tendering process or the whole procurement process is based on obtaining fair prices, not necessarily creating an advantage for a local vendor. And certainly local vendors will have advantages and should in theory come in at a better price, but it can't be one of the criteria that you use. It's right in our policy. So we'll work our way through that process, and it'll get us the best price. And if we can tighten the spec up really good, it'll get us what we want at the very best price. So that's what we'll do. Into my specific updates, the remembrance banners are up in the downtown, and Mike Kramer's staff, along with I think some help from Earth, again, they look great. I'm just so proud of those. They're an excellent addition. We have requested that Earth install the Christmas lights before December 3rd, which is the Lion Stationary Parade. So that will get us up with Christmas lights. I suspect it'll be somewhat sooner, but they were trying to slot everything in and wanted to know the date of the parade. The municipal office construction has started. The footings were poured last week. The foundation walls are in today. You'll see that project move fairly quickly. I would think it's quite possible we'll have trusses up. So walls and trusses, main floor poured by the middle to end of November. We want to be the contractor wants to be trying to get that closed in. And before we get into bad weather, and we'll even probably do some masonry over the winter where it's easy to tarp. So that project is moving along very nicely with a July 15th delivery date, is what we're working towards. The Ketterson Park Pavilion is currently under detailed design. The committee met, and I believe the chair reported that at your last meeting, to have a design meeting. The instructions have been provided to the engineer that's doing the design for us. That'll result in tender ready drawings, which will allow us to tender the project. And we'll time fundraising to coincide with tender ready drawings and the tendering of the project as best we can. I want to say a little bit about, the fundraising program for that pavilion is about a $250,000 part of the pavilion project is a fundraising component. The staff that would be working on that fundraising component are working on the next big issue, which is how we're responding to the ever-changing landscape of COVID vaccination policies and requirements. So our recreation staff are obviously working their way through very changing advice. And so I want to just say that today there were revisions. Well, the regulation was made and began to apply for recreation facilities on September the 22nd. So we've had some experience with implementing the requirement that recreational participants and patrons are required to prove that they have been double vaccinated in order to be able to enter our facilities. We've actually got that system down. It's extra cost to have to do the checking, but that's an obligation of the regulation. And we've been using security, which we will for the near term, but we'll probably phase that out and use staff in time. Once we're certain that everyone's kind of used to the new process. Today, the Huron-Perth Public Health made an announcement with Southwest Public Health and London Middlesex Health Unit that they are going to be issuing letters of instruction, which are going to make more stringent requirements for our recreational activities, particularly sports that occur in our facilities. We expect those letters of instruction to come in the next couple of days, but what it appears will be happening is we will be instructed as operators of facilities by the local medical officer of health that we are required to require proof of double vaccination by any participant that's eligible to be vaccinated. And that will begin on October 31st. So no more exemption for youth between 12 and 17. Nothing, they haven't said about providing medical exemptions. I would think that they will be a part of it, but we'll wait for the letters of instruction. And we just have to wait to get those. And finally, I would think that they'll make that a Section 22 offense. So it'll be an offense if we don't enforce that regulation. So it's a conscious decision of our medical officer of health to go beyond the minimum provincial regulation. And it is a little bit clearer to say that anyone who's eligible to be vaccinated must be vaccinated or you don't play. That is essentially the clarity that this revision will add, but it also is different than what the provincial minimum is. And I'm certain that our recreation staff will receive some complaints about that or frustration about that, and that's the way it is. I want to mention also that new direction was issued by Huron Prince Public Health, and actually what they've done is they've created an updated direction for businesses, and actually I'll leave it to Trish to say more about that, and I expect that Trish will be communicating that out to businesses as some really great advice and kind of a new, updated, refreshed a bit of advice for businesses about how they can be compliant. You may have heard that staff have been directed by council on Monday night to develop a vaccine policy for staff, council, volunteers, and contractors. This committee would be considered to be volunteers, so there will be a policy that may impact this committee. I think as long as council is meeting virtually, it is a given expectation that all committees are meeting virtually. And as long as we're all meeting virtually, nothing really changes. But if we're going to begin to try to get back to in-person meetings, this policy for vaccination may govern the way we handle in-person meetings. I've really been focused mostly on what the staff policy would look like. And I do need to work on council, volunteer, and contractors. We'll be very pragmatic about this. I think the feedback I received from council is they do not, I don't think that they want to see a mandatory vaccination policy, which is one choice, and it will be one of the policy choices that council would have. But I think rather there appeared to be a consensus that it was a vaccination policy that had very clear expectations of what we require from anyone who's not double vaccinated, that's an employee of the municipality. And there are options for that, including rapid antigen testing, and I'll be bringing those options forward for council's consideration. Ideally, this will go back to council at their next meeting, which would be October the 18th, but I expect that it may be November 1st until we can get this together. So it's not a policy that the municipality has to have, but all the municipalities around us, frankly, have developed policies, or most of the municipalities around us have developed policies, and the policies are focused on balancing the health and safety of our employees with the needs for vaccination and those that aren't vaccinated. And I, again, that's staff. It's also going to apply to council in some way, volunteers and contractors would be limited to people that enter our facilities, in my opinion. So that will all be coming. And the final update I want to give you is that the Ontario Street Connecting Link project is, you'll see that we're setting up pylons and getting ready. We, unfortunately, the contractor's a little bit behind. I'll remind you that that project will be what Mike Kramer would call a shave and pave. So we'll be taking up the top layer of asphalt and replacing it with a very nice new asphalt layer. And we're getting a tremendous amount of help through the Ontario Connecting Link funding for this project. But we, like all other municipalities in the area, and frankly, private sector people, are at the mercy of the availability of contractors. And so our contractor has some other work that he's trying to work in, and then he'll get to us. So there's my updates.
Sorry, I found my unmute button. All right, any questions for Jeff? Speaking of hard acts to follow, next comes Trish with the very exciting financials.
I don't know how exciting it'll be, but get my Kristen, can you give me screen sharing ability? So
Yeah, 1 second. There you go.
Jeff, you're muted.
Trish, yeah, Trish, just, yeah, good. I was going to say start and stop your video
Okay.
once so we can unlock your video too.
Okay, perfect. Oh, not yet. Perfect. Okay, now they're there. So I don't
Trish.
really have a whole lot to report, because again, not much is really happening.
Trish
don't
is a
know
little
what's
bit
wrong.
delayed here. Now it's come up. Sorry, she's having technical difficulty. The internet's working for me, but it's not working for her across the room.
Her speech is really laggy.
So Trish, can I just suggest that, or Sherry, if you could suggest to Trish to
Okay.
grab one of the HDMI cables and plug it into her laptop, and that'll give her a
Yep.
wired connection, if you could.
Did you hear
You
that,
mean
Trish?
Ethernet, Jeff?
Yeah.
Grab one of these.
Yeah, I meant Ethernet. Yeah.
And give yourself a. Okay, technical difficulties. We're going to insert some elevator music here. If anyone wants to sing, we'll take that too. I feel like we should have like the Jeopardy, like do 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 do.
I nominate Bert Fostenbush to
Yeah,
sing. I
he
think
can sing.
He can
I have
sing.
heard him. I used to sing in a quartet with him back in the day when we were young. So I know he can sing.
We're just a church choir singer now, and it's not very good.
Okay, is that any better? Okay. All right, so everybody can see the financials in front of me, I'm hoping. So again, there's not a whole lot to report this month. Like by way of our events and such, nothing has really happened. I do want to point out at the bottom here, we do have a surplus of $82.90.14 as of September 30th. And most of this surplus is due to our increase in associate member fees you'll see here. So we originally budgeted about $25.75, I believe, for that. Oh yeah, right here, sorry. And we've had quite a few new associate members join over the last couple months. So that's played a nice role in the surplus that we have. We've also underspent in our advertising down here. So we've only spent about $1,700 out of the budgeted $5,000. So I do know that it was the board's wish to kind of go a little bit harder for our Christmas street party. So there is money available to do that. If there's any interest in doing a shop local campaign, that is also still on the table. That's really all I have to say about financials. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that? Okay, perfect. So do you want me to jump right into my report then, Sherry? Okay, perfect. So first on the list is the events. So the event survey did go back out again to all of our members. Again, people are clicking the link and looking at the survey, but nobody is doing it. So I can only push it so much, but it's gone out. Same with the business profile. I did get a few more business profiles back, so that's great. People are filling them out. Again, I'm encouraging businesses that are watching to please complete the event survey so that we can plan for the year of what we would like to do, and complete the business profile as well, because that's how we're going to have a great database of a directory of our businesses and everything will be accurate. So those are a couple items that went out recently. Again, I think we discussed last meeting for this year, we were going to move forward with the Find the Gnomes, a Christmas window display contest, and then the Christmas street party. So if that is still a go, do we want to pick a night for the Christmas street party so that I could sort of plan some of the advertising components, because of course the advertising has to be done in advance of the party. And then if there's other like people that I need to reach out to, like if we want to have Santa maybe behind plexiglass or something like that, or the reindeer, look into all those pieces.
Traditionally, the last few years, we've had it on a Friday night. We could look at November 19th or 26th, unless somebody knows of some other major events going on at that point. Sort of when we kind of hit it. We've hit it second last Friday. We've hit it last Friday over the years. What do you?
What if you did it the same weekend as the Santa Claus parade? Or the same night?
I think that's a really great question, and we have talked about that in the past. In the past, simply because the amount of people downtown during the parade is absolutely insane. But this year being a drive-through parade, we wouldn't have those crowds that the businesses are trying to battle. I'm ashamed to say I didn't make it to the drive-through parade last year. So somebody who was there could maybe give an update on whether they think that would work, just with how many people waited in line for that parade for hours. Would it work? I hate to say that I missed it, but I did.
It was a long lineup, and maybe it might give them the opportunity. Well, they'll have learned from their mistakes from last year on that one. It might give them the opportunity to spread it out a little more if people knew they could be uptown and then zip around, or vice versa. So,
wonder if it would be encourage more walkers.
Yeah.
Instead of drivers, if people walked uptown for stuff and then walked with their kids down to the park, maybe we could. Are you a Lions Club member, Bert?
No. We talked to a couple of them. One of the things that really slowed them up was their food drive. We could talk to them and maybe give a different spot where they could drop the food off, so they're not trying to drop food off at the end of the Santa Claus standing parade. So it gives them some options.
Wonder if they use the information booth for the food drive, and maybe Trish reaches out to Bob. Yes, Bob Tenhoff, and just gives them a heads up that we're thinking about it. It's whatever you guys think, or we do it ourselves on the 19th and the 26th. I think the only problem I foresee, again, Brent, it's a very valid question. The only problem I foresee is we like to have Santa Claus and they have Santa Claus. So how do we tell the children there's two Santa Clauses?
We could just skip having Santa too.
We could offer up our Santa Claus and reindeer at the end of the rainbow kind of thing. We could, I don't know how that would work. We'd have to figure that out. Yeah.
So typically it's down at the Lions at the park, right? Is that where the drive-through is?
Just last year, yeah.
Yeah, they came in the top of the hill.
So does it make sense that they're going to want to do the two things, like spend some time uptown and do the drive-through? I don't know. So last year for the parade, did people come uptown and shop, or like what?
Well, the parade was at 7.
It was at 7 on a Friday night, just like regular years. But it was a drive-through, and they were discouraging walkers from coming. So I think they entered from the top of the hill by the animal park and then came down maybe.
Jeff, do you remember? Do you remember seeing the road map?
They tried to bring them in across the new bridge and around and back, but it got a little ugly.
Yes, so they're gonna follow the same route. So they're gonna come across the Henry Street Bridge and in from the top of the hill at the north end and down through. But they're making adjustments to make the flow work a lot better. So the real plan is that we don't have those big backlogs and people move. And they identified a number of things that they would do to mitigate that. And I have every expectation that it'll work. They were remarkably successful. But I do think, on the positive side, you will have a lot more people in town. And so there's an opportunity for the BIA to provide engagement, whatever that is. And I think that you can know that it was very successful last year. It'll likely just as successful this year, and they'll be more compact with their timing. So that might create a great opportunity.
So do the store owners put floats in still?
Last
That's
year,
a very valid point.
Yeah.
A lot of them
You can.
A lot of them don't. Like, a lot of the floats are from other outside places. And I was just thinking, like, if we got Tim Hortons to do a booth downtown, because they're usually pretty good with supporting BIA events, and that and let everybody know that it's sponsored by the BAA or something, so that it kind of keeps people downtown and shopping downtown, and have the rest of our events. And with all the extra people, we just might get some more traction.
I think it would be a good partnership, especially because they are an associate member of ours. So I think it would be a great opportunity to partner with a service club that we haven't done before.
Yeah, and I think if we can make it work this year, I don't know if we can make it work all the time, just simply because when they go back to their traditional parade, the hundreds and hundreds of people standing in the street aren't necessary, you know, and they discourage parking and stuff. It's not necessarily conducive of a street party at the same time. But I think for this year, if we can make it work, if you guys all agree. Trish, I had mentioned to you yesterday or the other day about the library, and I wondered if you could reach out to the library, because they're really trying to get involved in more community events, and maybe like with some of their reading and their kids things and the stuff that they like to do. So I wondered if the library would maybe be part of our, you know, I know they're not a member and they're not a business, but they're still a very important part of our downtown community. When we have our street events, we always tell everybody to use their washrooms. I wonder, I think our new head librarian would be all over, you know, bringing a table down and doing some stuff with kids too, and it would help us out to add more.
See if she'd do her walk by book that we've been trying to do. And have a book posted around downtown, something like that.
We'll have Trish reach out and maybe have a little chat with her about this downtown street party, and see if there's something the library would like to set up a little tent and table and engage with the community. I think with Jesse Britton and that, you'll find that they'll probably be all over it.
So I'll reach out to the Lions Club then to see about a partnership and what that would look like if we ran our street party. Connect with the library, and then I'll also connect with the place where we got the reindeer from, because maybe that could be, Santa could be the draw to the Santa Claus parade, and then they could come downtown and see the reindeer. And if there's, like Brent said, Tim Hortons joins and gives away their hot chocolate and Timbits, and it just might be a driver to get people downtown. I think it's a great opportunity to partner. So we'll aim for that day then.
When you're talking to Jesse, Trish, see if you'd be interested with the youth center as well.
Okay.
Very good point. I think the youth center would be a great part of it as well.
Okay, so I will start working on that. I'll reach out to businesses as well about our Find the Gnomes again. Are we wanting to run it again for 6 weeks pending participation? Okay, and are we wanting to keep the value of BIA bucks that we give away at $50 each time the gnome is found? And I think the grand prize was like $250, I think, or something. Are we good with those numbers still, or?
I think so.
Yeah.
Whatever I know everyone else thinks.
Okay, perfect. And I guess the next piece is a shop local promotion. I wasn't sure if we wanted to run a promotion, but it sounds like we'll kind of get ramped up for a big promotion of our event starting in November through to December. So we'll skip that. So on to BIA Bucks program. So I am super excited to announce that the Neighborhood Credit Union has agreed to partner with us on our program. I just had a phone call with them yesterday where they confirmed the partnership. They're very excited. Their staff are very excited to partake in it. They have a marketing committee or team, there that is also interested in helping with the marketing aspect of things. So that's a really positive thing to get that back into the downtown, easily accessible for our businesses. And I think it'll be just a good partnership. They're so excited to join. So now I know, Bert, you did send an email the other day with a redesign of the BIA Bucks potentially. Not ignoring that. I think it's something we need to discuss is what do we want? Do we want to change the look of the BIA Bucks? We are doing $5, $10, and $20 denominations. The credit union did mention that they would like to have their say in the look of the BIA Bucks. They would like to have their say in some of the marketing. It just sounds like they want to have their say in things a little bit more than our past partnership. So what does that look like? What are the board members' opinions on that? Is there things that you think they should have say or shouldn't have say? just to cover all bases.
I'm all for giving the credit union like their logo on everything because they're really helping us out. And I think that's important to give back to them. And as far as changing the look of them, like I think they should have their logo on it for helping, like, because they're basically giving us free labor.
For a quickie, the redesign was based on what I discussed with the Listowel Chambers of Commerce and some of the security features that they felt would enhance. So I don't know if the credit union had got back to you with regards to some of their additional pieces that they felt, but I think they should see some of the designs work on it. I'm a little leery of the logo on it simply because, but then again, if they decide to no longer be part of the program, we just destroy the existing bills with them on anyway. So one way or another, it's fine. I do believe they should get some good promo for doing it though.
And I think
in other words, we just need to get moving on it. We're going to do a clear code as well. I think I included that in the email to give a little bit of, shouldn't say we, but the design will have a few extra security features built into it. So
Is this something we have to run by the credit union then before we print those?
From my understanding, I think that's what they would like. Again, they
would.
want to have more say on things in our last partnership. So I don't know what that looks like. I said I have to bring this to the board and then get direction from you guys on what you feel they should or shouldn't have say over, or like it's our program, but they're partnering with us on it. So there has to be some give and take.
Yeah, that's why we got the design. I was a week later than I thought it would be, but that's why I was hoping to get that to you, and then you could carry it on with them and see what else they might need from a standpoint of what the bank requires. So
Are they numbered?
they will be numbered. They will be numbered if that didn't come across.
Yeah, and
So the existing bills, once
they,
so we'll destroy
go
the
ahead.
existing ones once the new ones come through. So we'll destroy the existing ones once the new ones come through, and they will be numbered.
Trish, did you have something to add?
There,
I
I'll
was
mute
just-
now.
Nope, that's okay. It's just, I think there's a lag in my internet, so I apologize. The credit union is also going to help us with the tracking. So internally at the municipal office right now, as people come in and buy them, they fill out a spreadsheet that shows what numbers, like using those numbers in the corner, people have purchased, and that people aren't purchasing more than $250 per person. So the credit union has also offered to take that aspect on as well. So a lot of tracking, counting, selling all year round. I expressed that it's a program that we've always had all year round, but only the 10% off at Christmas. And one of the things that we really could use help on, and I think this is where we could really use their support, is promoting it from January to October when there's not much that happens. So I think that'll be a good addition as well. But I guess what does the board, what are you guys okay with them having say on? And do you want me to draft up everything about the program, send it out for review, and then I have to connect with the credit union again anyways to give them more direction, but their marketing team is currently on hold until I found out what we're thinking.
I think it's easier to find out what they want to have, what say they want.
Okay.
Show them the bills with the design that even if you want to use the old design as well, show them both.
They have the old design.
Show them both and see, because the new design was based on conversations with Listowel, and that's why it was done a little bit, cleaning some of the old stuff out and making it a little simpler. So I mean, I'd show them both and see if they got suggestions, because really, what's wrong with a suggestion?
Yep. Okay, I can reach back out to them then with your recent email that you had sent to me with the updates, and I'll provide that all to the board too then. Is there a target start date that we would like to sell them? Do we want to go back to starting to sell them after Remembrance Day until December 31st, like the program has usually been, or do you potentially want to start a bit earlier or extend it later? I don't know how long it's going to take to order them. I would anticipate we wouldn't have them at least till the end of, or even the 1st of November, probably.
The longer we wait to decide, the longer it takes to get them. So, I mean, I'd put a target date of Remembrance Day like we always have, and then we could always extend it into January as we've done in the past.
Okay.
Hate to say it, I hate pushing Christmas till after Remembrance Day. It's just me, but sorry, that's just one of those things.
So maybe we could do a target start of Monday, November 15th, then the Thursday prior is Remembrance Day. So rather than start on a Friday, we'll start on a Monday. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns about the BIA Bucks program or any of the Christmas events I'm going to start working on?
Who's doing the printing of the BIA Bucks now that the Advocate's not really involved?
The Advocate hasn't printed them for a few years, actually. Bert, who prints them?
Last year, Commercial Printers in Stratford did, and we put, I have initial quotes out for same thing, Commercial Printers, Blythe Printing, and Stratford Printing.
Because I was gonna say, like, we could probably print them because we have a digital printing press and a laser cutter. So we can print on heavy, thick cardstock, specialty papers, whatever.
No, I think it should be outsourced. I don't think we should have anything to do with the printing internally.
Okay, well, for now, until we have a full meeting of everybody, we'll just leave it outsourced. And we can always have that discussion for future, just because our time frame right now is starting to get a little tight. But we can definitely put that on the agenda for future if we want to have more discussion over it for the next round or next year's BIA dollars. Okay, anything else on the BIA bucks? Not on the BIA itself, on the BIA dollars? Or anything that Trish just presented?
Are we
Okay,
skipping?
I think we just
skipping?
lost Bert.
Are we skipping over that radio section?
We haven't got to new business yet, Brent. It's coming up right shortly here. It's in new business. I think we lost Brent though, or not Brent, sorry, Bert.
I suggest you just carry on, Sherry.
I was just gonna
Hopefully Bert will
say that.
reconnect.
Thanks. We don't have quorum, so if we vote, we won't be able to do that on anything that's coming up here, but we'll just keep moving on and hope Bert makes it back in. So if there's nothing else, thanks, Trish. We'll move on to other business, which was a discussion that Brent had brought to our attention that on radio advertisement and his thoughts on it. Did you want to have a discussion on it, Brent? Did you want to start the discussion? Did you want us just to have a general discussion, or what were you thinking?
Sorry, Sherry, just stepping in. I don't know if I'm hearing everything you say through Trisha's computer, I think, as well.
No, Heather, can you mute yours? And anybody else that's not speaking at the time, it's all coming back through. Bert, can you mute yours if you can hear it?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think there was just a bit of background sound.
Okay, Brent, go ahead. If you'd like to speak what you'd like to say, absolutely, the floor is yours.
Just we're part of like we're in the Listowel BIA, the Exeter BIA now, Stratford BIA, and all of the BIAs are always advertising on the radio. I hear it all the time, and we're always spending all this money on newspaper and our events. do okay, but they never get a ton of traction. And I really think we should be putting some money into advertising on the radio throughout the year. Consistency and frequency is the key to advertising, and we do very, very well with it. When we dropped out of newspaper advertising and started radio advertising 3-4 years ago on 101.7 The One in Listowel, and we're on Stratford radio all the time, we have increased our business by like 400%. Just newspaper subscriptions are way down, and the newspaper is not in town anymore. So my thought is that we need to get onto the radio like the rest of the BIAs. I drive through Exeter every day because I live here, and I hear the Experience Exeter BIA on the radio here. I hear the Listowel BIA on 101.7 The One. I hear Stratford, and I'm not hearing us ever. And why shop in Mitchell, or why come to Mitchell? And I really think that that's what we need to promote. Not only our website, our downtown, what we have to offer, our events, all of everything.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think there's any opposition from anyone at all that I'm aware of, and please speak up if I'm wrong. I don't think there's any opposition in any way to radio advertising. I think it's just that we haven't had any events to advertise. We literally have not had anything really be able to gain enough of momentum. I know one of the things was hang on, one of the things was cost. We are a poor little BIA. We have a very, very small budget. I did look up the Exeter BIA, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Brent. Please don't think I am. I did look up the Exeter BIA budget, and it is quadruple. It is $70-some thousand a year. We're 20. So, you know, cost for us is an issue. And not disparaging it, I think it's a matter for the board of making sure that if we're going to spend the money on radio, we spend it wisely and we have something to spend it on, just for us to start, because we really only have a $20,000 budget, and half of our budget is used up. Not that it's bad money, because it's great money to use, but more than half of our budget is used up by staffing costs. So we really have a, what, Trish, $10,000 or $13,000 budget to do everything in a year. And I really want you to be really aware that nobody disagrees with you. We all agree that radio is fantastic. We just haven't had something worthy of spending money on. Now, that said, maybe this street party, we can dabble a little bit in the radio if the rest of the board feels that that's a good use of our money.
It's not just.
No, I think we've got a good one this time around.
Sorry, Bert.
Well, I think I cut Brent off, so.
Yeah, it's not just the events. It's just constant, consistent radio advertising saying like, Experience Exeter, see what the downtown has to offer, do this, do that, whatever there is to do in the town. They change their ads up monthly, and so does Listowel. And it's just something to constantly have in the back of people's minds and going throughout the year. Even if you do $500 every other month, that's $3,000 a year. Or if you do 500 and have one full week of advertising every month, like, it's something that's in the back of their minds, that it's consistency and frequency, that you're there all the time. Come experience Mitchell. Look at all of our great restaurants that we have now. There's a bunch of new restaurants, right? Like, just things like that keep people thinking about Mitchell in the back of their mind. You don't just have to have an event to advertise. We need to keep Mitchell in the back of everybody's mind all the time. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, thanks, Brent. Any input from other members? We keep losing Bert here. Again, it is something we could maybe, if everybody is okay with it, what is our advertising budget in a year? I'm just looking at it here. Sorry, I've got it on a small paper. It's 5,000, and we spent 3. So 3,000 in radio takes more than half of our budget. And like I said, it's not a bad thing. I just wonder if if we're just not quite there yet and we start with baby steps, Brent, and just to start with, we only do our events for now and we see how we all feel about it. I don't know. I'm open to other thoughts from anyone else. Jeff?
Sherry, may I suggest that, perhaps what you want to do is maybe Trish could reach out to, I think the Logical is one of the Stratford radio stations, whether it be 107.1 or 107.7. I'm not frankly sure which one, and Brent might be able to guide us, but perhaps Trish could reach out and ask for a bit of an advertising budget or a proposal.
That was going to be my next, if no one else had anything to add, that was going to be my next request to the board, to see if they were okay with Trish reaching out and seeing if we can just get some guidance from the radio station, how they feel we could, start putting our toes in the water and trying some alternate avenues.
Yeah, I keep getting bopped off for some stuff, but I'm good with the start moving ahead with some targeted radio advertising.
Yeah, and I think that's good for us. We're all in agreement that we need to do it. I think we're all just a little bit gun shy because we have such tiny budgets to work with. I wish I looked up the Listowel budget and it blows us out of the water, and so to Exeter's. Was it 79,000, Trish? Something like that for a year. They blow us out of the water. I wish we could have their budgets, maybe someday as we grow.
Well, you also
but
have to realize from a budget standpoint, we could increase our budget. We've held our budget the same for many, many years. So, I mean, with the correct consideration, I think it's doable.
Yeah, I think you need to say, like, this is what our advertising budget is to the radio station, and say, like, we're not looking to spend it all here, but what can you come up with the best bang for our buck for the entire year? And if you commit to a year worth of advertising, they'll give you something that fits in your budget that will be way more than what you could have bought for that amount.
Okay, so we're just going to move forward with that then. For Trish to reach out, and she can bring it back to our November meeting with a little bit more maybe some guidance and information, and then we can make a quick judgment in November for December. Maybe we can partner a little bit on radio with the Lions.
And perhaps you might be able, maybe they'd come and make a 5 or 10 minute presentation at your November BIA meeting, and you could have that interaction. And I would think it's 107.1, and I just want to make sure that Brent agrees that in the Stratford, there's 107.7 or there's 107.1. So 107.1 is the former CJCS. And then 107.7 is the, and they may be associated. Perhaps Brent could speak to that.
I do believe they're both under the same radio media because they're both on the same web page. You click which one you want. So, and so maybe we can flip back and forth between the two. Maybe that's what Trish will find out, is that we can doubly advertise on both radio stations for certain prices as well. So we'll
definitely catches which one to use.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of crowd. 107.7 is a certain type of music and crowd, and 101.7 or whatever it is a different. So we'll leave that with Trish then, if there's no more discussion on it. We'll leave that with Trish. All right, any more new business? Trish, I think, had something she needed to add. She forgot in her report, so we'll let her have the floor for a moment.
Sorry, I forgot to include the update that Jeff said he thought I was going to include, was the letter that came out from the Huron-Perth Public Health Medical Officer. So as Jeff had started to mention, there was a letter that was issued with recommendations and highlights that are from the provincial requirements in regards to workplace safety policies, screening, face coverings, PPE, carpooling, hand washing, HVAC systems, contact information in case there's ever an outbreak, and signage and capacity limits. So I will just get that circulated out to our businesses so that it came out yesterday, but it was dated for October 4th. So I'll get that out probably tomorrow so that businesses can look at it and see what they need to do to be in compliance and coincide with those recommendations. So that was all I had left.
Sorry, it wasn't unmuting for me. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn? Heather, seconded by Brent. Are you okay with that? Get you on
Sure.
we'll get you in the minutes here. Okay, and all in favor? So we are adjourned at 7:26. Next meeting, November 3rd, Wednesday, November 3rd at 6 o'clock. And we'll just give Kristen a minute to